Good morning, everyone. Hope I'm audible and you could see my screen. Online students, am I audible? You could see my screen, everyone. Yes. Okay, nice. Ma'am, could you please? Okay, so what are we discussing in the last class, guys? We have started with the basic structure of a HTML page. We have seen basic tags like what is HTML tag, what is the two parts of your page, what is the two parts of your page, the header part, the body part. In the universe, whoever is going to create the page, how they are going to start the HTML tag, header, body, etc., etc. On the top, a very simple tag, we have seen the BR tag, which is used to break the existing line. And we have even seen that anytime we render the content in the piece of content, if we have the line breaks or the spaces, how the browser is completely skipping it. Okay, browser is not considering them. If you want the lines or the spaces to be added, it has to be done through the HTML tags or the CSS properties. That is what we had looked into, right? So hope everybody is so clear with yesterday's discussion. Any more discussion? At the same time, we have even discussed about what do you mean by an extension, why the reason extension is mandatory for the page, whatever the files we create, and what extension it is recommended, like the .html and .html. Those things we had a look into. Okay, on the top, I have asked you guys to get ready with some of the softwares. Hope everybody is done. Three things, I think four things I said you, right? Node.js software and Sublime text editor, Visual Studio Code editor, following with the GitHub desktop. Anyone facing any blockers? I already said you the commands to check how the Node.js and npm got installed. Okay, so those are anyway not complex, just need to download and install them. Hope everybody is ready with those. Okay, nice, good. Everybody got a chance. So if you have any questions, let me know, guys. Okay, so that I can help out if you get blockers. So yesterday, this is what the news item page we have created, a very simple news item page where we have some news item title following with the content. Okay. So the title following with the content, that is what we have added. This is the source code, and we have seen how the BR tag is helping us in creating the line breaks on the page. Okay. On the top, let us see, if you see here, let me remove the BR tags here for now. I'm removing all the BR tags. Now, if you save this guy, come back here, reload the page here, we know why it is not considering. Okay, if you see, again, it is losing the line breaks, even though you're giving in the content, it is not at all considering, which we have already saw that. Okay, my next thing, what I say is, anytime you have multi-line of content getting rendered on the page, okay, anytime you have multi-line of text content, if you see, this is a multi-line of text content. Anytime you want to render the multi-line of text content, it is always recommended to go with a new tag, which is called as P tag, which is called paragraph tag. Okay, paragraph tag is a very special tag, which is used to hold the multi-line text content like book information, news content, about you information. So anytime you have text content, you simply go with the paragraph tag. Now, if you see, first thing is, this is how the page was. Now I'm simply putting all this text content, the multi-line text content, within the paragraph tag. Nothing else, just opening a P tag and closing a P tag like this. So wherever you have this multi-line text content, I'm just keeping it here. Okay, this is how it is. Now, if you come back and reload the page, the very first observation is it not automatically coming into the new line? The question what you need to get is, boss, you said that until and unless you give the BR tag in order to get the new line, it should not come. It should occupy within the same line. But how come this guy is coming? How come these guy without even a BR tag automatically coming into the new line? First observation. The second observation is, do you see an extra line of space above and below the paragraph content? Yes or no? Above and below the paragraph content, you should able to see a space by default added. This is what the default feature of a paragraph tag. Anytime you render any content within the paragraph tag, the two default features are, it will automatically come into the new line and it is going to add a space on the top and below the content what you have given within the paragraph tag. In actually, these guy falls under a concept something called as block level elements. I need to discuss that later. So there is a concept something called, all the list of HTML tags are being divided into two categories, which we call it as block level category and inline category. So if it is a block level, there are some set of properties. If it is an inline, there are some set of properties. Right now, I'm not discussing because we are still into the basics, but just for now, you can simply say that paragraph automatically coming into the new line and maintaining a gap of space on the top and on the below. Any questions? Okay, next, if you see here, I'm treating this news item 1 as a title. I'm feeling that that is a subheading following with its content. Again, subheading following with its content. So this is what I have. Now, when I say that it is a subheading, do I need to have a different look and feel for that? Right now, my heading following with the content, both are having the same type of look and feel. Now, what if I would like to show the subheading as a heading here? HTML by default provides a predefined tag, something called as from H1, H2 till H6. Only till H6. You cannot go beyond. Okay, these are the predefined tags. Anytime you represent any content within this H1 to H6, it will automatically show you the content in the form of a heading. Let us see how it is. For example, at the bottom, let me show you. I say, okay, not before that. I say some testing. Save this guy, refresh. This is how the testing is coming. Yes. If I keep this testing guy inside a H1 tag. Now, if you come back and reload the page, do you see? Yes, ma'am. Yes. Guys, can you please get it just? One can, another place, you have it? Yeah. Okay. Now, if you see here, earlier the testing, whatever you have given, this is how the text content is getting represented. Now the content which is being under the H1 tag, do you see it is coming with a different font size and with a bold format? Yes, it is. How come? It is because of H1 tag. In the same way, let me take this content and let me make it as H22 here. Okay, come back here, reload the page. Again with a heading format with a lesser font size. Yes, in the same way, let us go with all the H6 content. This is 2, this is 3, 4, following with 5. And this is 6. Okay, save this guy, come back here and reload the page. We have chair. Okay, one is there. Yes. Okay, so this is how you should able to see the heading content is getting rendered, guys. So from H1 to H6, different font sizes, different, bold format is same, but different font sizes it is going to show. Anytime, so by default, what HTML is saying, if you want these type of headings to be rendered on your page, you can simply make use of the existing H1 to H6 tags. Okay, now you say that, boss, my news item to be rendered in this style, like H3 or H2, you can simply make use of it. Now, what if you say that, no, boss, none of the heading is matching. I say that I want more bigger than the H1 I want more smaller than the H1, but a bigger than the H2. So what if I have to do? Because not every time my requirement will be like this, right? When you given a web page, your requirements will be dynamic. I may want a bigger font size or a very smaller. It might not match your H1 to H6. So what your HTML is saying, if the H1 and H6 are matching your requirement, make use of it. If it is not matching your requirement, you always have this CSS properties. Okay, what it says is, if you want your own customization with a different font size, the color, the background, the boldness, anything you want to do, you can always do the customization with the CSS properties. Okay, so once I come to the CSS, I will talk about what properties has to be used in order to represent the normal content in the way you want it. Am I clear? Okay, so now what I say is, let me remove this. As I said, you only it will work from H1 to H6. You cannot go beyond that. Okay, now I will see every news item what I have. Let me keep it inside some H3 tag. Okay, all my news headings I'm putting inside the H3. Okay, save this guy, come back here, reload the page. This is a very simple application what we created, where all the headings falling under the heading tags, all the content, multi-line text content is falling under the paragraph tag. This is what your source code. This is how it is getting executed. Any questions up to this? Everyone so clear on this? No questions? Online students? Okay, good. Now, let us move to the next topic of your HTML, which we call it as attributes. Okay, a very important concept, guys. What do you mean by an attribute? Attribute means injecting extra. Attributes means injecting extra information to the HTML tag. We call it as an attribute. Okay, injecting extra information to any HTML tag, we call it as an attribute. And one more thing, guys, I mean, you don't need to copy the running notes. I mean, it's up to you. It's if you want, you can. But every notes, whatever I'm discussing in the class, once you get an access to the GitHub, you should able to see the notes under this. Okay, go into the notes folder. I will copy this notes folder for you guys. I have already created a batch 8:30 a.m. right? So under this notes, you have the notes version 1. As I said you, there are different versions you have. You can go with the notes version 1. So go with this front end part. Okay, so these are all the things what we have already discussed. What is backend, what is front end, etc. If you see what is a HTML, starting with what is the structure of a HTML page, some examples of the tags, and what do you mean by HTML attributes. Right now, we are into this part. Okay, so everything what we are discussing in the class, it is already part of the notes. I mean, if you feel like you want something running notes, it's up to you. But all the definitions I have already given, clearly mentioned within the notes. If you feel something is missing, what we discussed in the class, let me know, then I will give you the more explanation. But maximum, whatever the topics we will be discussing in the class, every part will be in the notes. So I recommend once you are done with the class, once you go home, make sure you explore this and get some good idea of this. Okay, hope some people, whoever have already joined the Telegram group, I already gave you the Git access, right? You could able to access that GitHub. I mean, as I haven't shown you how to clone the GitHub, but one thing what you can do is you can simply go to github.com. Okay, go into this folder. Now you should able to get an access. People who have become the collaborator, you can access this. Go into any of the folder like 7 a.m. whatever it is. Go into the public folder. Under that there is something called as others folder. Under that there is something called as notes. Under that you have this. You can download it or you can have an explore of this. Am I clear? Okay, so yeah, now we are into the attribute. So what do you mean by an attribute here? As I said you, it is an extra information what we will be injecting to every HTML element is called as an attribute. Let us take a practical example, guys. I say human being. for every human being, do we have some extra attributes? Like say I'm a human being, do I have some extra attributes? Like I say that my license, okay, my car license, do I say that it's an extra attribute for me? My name, is it not an extra attribute? My PAN number, is it an extra attribute? My Aadhaar number, it's an extra information. So why we are adding this extra attributes to human being? For example, Aadhaar number is been given so that national wise I could able to get tracked, saying that what are, I mean, who actually this human being is. In the same way, why the PAN number is been given? Government can actually identify what all the financial transactions been happening with a particular person. In the same way, why a name has been given? So that I get identified between the group of people, isn't it? So extra information is being injected so that we can make use in the way actually you wanted. In the same way, when you come to HTML tags, any tag you go for, this is a paragraph tag, this is a heading tag, this is a body tag, any tag you go for, you can actually inject some attributes. Now you tell me, human being attributes are predefined or user defined? Name of the attribute is predefined, value of the attribute is user defined. Agree or not? Now I say his name, I can say only name, right? Value could be according to him. Now I say name, could be Raj, could be Tina, could be some Krish, could be some ABC, could be Prasad, it could be anything. The key is going to be unique or predefined, value is going to be user defined. In the same way, when you come to your HTML elements, you can actually inject any number of predefined attributes. There are some predefined attributes what HTML is defining. Example, we have something called as ID. We have something called as name. We have something called as title. We have something called as SRC. We have something called as class. We have something called as style, href. Like this, hell lot of attributes are there. Those all are predefined attributes. Now you can inject them to a particular HTML element with a user defined value. Okay. Now, and how you're going to inject the attributes to a tag here? We know how the tag name will be there. You simply say tag name, open, we say something called as tag name. Like this. This is how we have the tags. The tag name is either it could be P, body tag, HTML, it could be any tag, but this is the syntax of a tags. Now, how you're going to inject the attributes? Anytime we want to inject the attributes, attributes should only be part of the opening tag only. Okay, whatever the opening tag you have, only for that you could able to inject the attributes. You never touch this closing tag. Closing tag will be always a closing tag. Now, under this guy, how you're going to give the attribute names? Give a space for the tag name. Now you give an attribute name equal to inverted commas, give the value. In the same way, can I have multiple attributes for the same human being? Yes, I have my Aadhaar number, PAN number, license number, ABC number, etc. and all. Like this, for a single HTML tag, you can have any number of attributes, Now I say attr name to equal to inverted commas, what is its corresponding value? Like this, you can define any number of attributes for a single HTML tag. On the top, you tell me, can I have the same attribute for multiple times? Now I have my surname is my attribute. Can I have multiple surnames to me? No. Can I have my passport number? Can I have multiple passport numbers to me? Until and unless I am terrorist, I can't have the same passport numbers, right? So whatever the attributes we are adding to the HTML tag, we can have multiple attributes, but same attribute cannot be added multiple times. Okay. Example, attribute name. I will say ID. The value what I give is, say something called as news item. Attribute 2, I say something called as name. The value what I give is, say something called as news content. I say something called as class. I give something called say some content, like this. So you see, n number of attributes can be added to the single HTML tag. Can I use same attribute for multiple tags? One paragraph is having an ID, another H3 tag. Can I have ID? Obviously, yes. Now I'm having a passport number. He might have it. He might have it. Everyone can have it. Same guy cannot have the same passport number. Same attribute cannot be repeated for multiple times. But within a single page, same attribute can be added for multiple elements here. Okay. Now you may ask me a question, boss, when you say passport number or a name or an Aadhaar number, yes, for a human being, we know what are the use of this. But what is the reason you are adding an ID for a HTML tag? What is the use of it? What is the reason that you are adding a name for the HTML tag? What is the reason that you are adding a class for the HTML tag? How it is getting advantage of it? Do you have the chair, guys? Okay, you can come over here. Can you put this chair here? Okay, so what is the use of each and every individual attribute? Let's have a look on this. Now, coming to this content back. Now, I say that there are n number of news items which are in my page. My requirement is I want to identify this second paragraph news item. How do I say that? Can I simply say, hey, paragraph tag, come out? Do I get a single or multiple? Multiple. Okay. Now, the second option, if I say that, hey, paragraph tag, you who are in the second position, please come out. Right now, this will come. But in future, if that guy is moving to a different position, am I losing his identity? Yes. Then what is the way I can uniquely identify? We can give ID for that. Yes. So how do I give that? I simply say ID is equal to something called as news item 2 I'm giving. In future, if I want to identify the particular paragraph, I don't say the tag name, I don't say the position. Instead, I say, hey, element having an ID called as news item 2, please come out. Obviously, uniquely, I'm going to get the identity of it. Yes, it is. Now, you guys tell me, can I have the same ID for multiple paragraph tags? Same ID you never have, because ID is a unique reference. You cannot have the same ID for multiple elements. I mean multiple tags. Okay, so you need to make sure I say something called as news item 3. Come back here, reload the page. Do you see any look and feel difference, boss? Now, practical example. I say that my name is Prasad today. Tomorrow I'm changing my name to some Rahul or ABC or some Raj. Do you see look and feel is getting changed? The way you identify changes. Adding or changing the attributes never ever change the look and feel. My Aadhaar number is ABC today. Tomorrow they are changing to something else. Do you see my look and feel changes? No. The way I was being identified get changes. Isn't it? Earlier it was with a different number. Now it is with a different number. That is the only difference. Whenever you are adding an attribute, removing an attribute, changing the attribute value doesn't change the look and feel of a particular HTML tag. Am I clear? And one more thing. Now, as I said you, it is expected to have the same tag, same ID for multiple elements? No. Come on. Same value I'm saying. Yeah, that is good one. I mean, you are saying the future, but my question is, in general, you should not have the same ID, isn't it? Now, what if I'm putting a same ID? If you come back here, if you refresh, do you see any error? HTML is not a compiler. CSS is not a compiler. Until and unless that software guy is a compiler, it will not throw any errors. Okay, HTML gets executed, CSS gets executed, but they never get compiled. That is the reason HTML will never ever throw any error, even if you miss an Angular tag. Okay, the way it renders might get changes here. See, some look and feel got disturbed, but it is not going to throw any error here. But the same case, if you do with your JavaScript, it is going to throw an error. Okay, yeah, the first thing is, if you are adding the same ID for multiple elements, it is not going to throw an error. It is as a user, we are going to face the issue here. As a developer, we will expect, when I say ID, I expect same multiple, sorry, when I say ID, I'm expecting that uniquely I'm going to get a single value. But internally, what is going to happen? multiple elements are going to come. Practical example, in your Naresh IT, whenever you're getting registered, aren't they giving some ID, some unique ID they are going to assign, right? If the admin mistakenly gave you same ID for multiple students, are you guys facing an issue or the management is going to face the issue? Management is going to face the issue. They want to track a single student, but they are getting multiple students. So when you put an ID, same ID for multiple times, page is not going to get disturbed. Being a developer in future, when we write a piece of code to identify one of the element through a single ID, we expect one, it might throw some multiple, we are going to face an issue. Being a developer, our responsibility, whenever you are adding a unique identity, make sure to not to have the same ID multiple times. Clear, everyone? Questions? No. Good. Now I make this guy as item 2 or item 3. So ID is a unique reference using which you could able to identify the particular HTML tag from the group of elements. Now you may ask me a question, boss, you are saying that you want to identify that, but how do I do that? How do I do programmatically saying that, hey, paragraph tag having an ID called a news item? How do you do that? These things I'm going to discuss when I actually go with the DHTML coding, because identity of an element through ID will be done with your JavaScript. There is a concept, something called document.getElement by ID with a particular reference. So at the time, I will talk about this. For now, simple thing what you need to understand is using your ID, you should able to add a reference. Yes, using CSS also, you can apply the CSS using ID. I will come to that topic. Okay. So any questions with this ID? In the same way, there is another attribute, something called name attribute. Okay, what is the use of this name attribute? You can actually group the multiple elements. Now, if you see, these are the paragraph. Now I say something called as name equal to news content. Can I have the same name for multiple tags? Come on. Yes, right? So you can have it. If at all you want to group relative items as an individual, I'm having some 100 paragraph tags. 100 paragraph tags belong to news item. Another 100 paragraph tags belong to some employee details. Yes, please. Yes, it is. Can you please call the boy once? He will get a chair for you. You have it? Yeah, please. Okay. Now, can I have the same name value for multiple tags here? Yes, I can have it, right? So you can, if at all you have some n number of paragraph tag, 100 paragraph tag holding the news items, another 100 paragraph tag holding the employee details. Now, how do I differentiate between these paragraphs and those paragraphs? The top 100 paragraph tags will be having the same name, which tells that all of them belong to a particular group. Second 100 paragraph tags are having the same name, something called as employee details, which tells that all those paragraph tags belong to a particular group. So that is why we go with the name attribute. Okay. In the same way, there is something called as title attribute. What do you mean by title here? Title attribute is used to add extra information about the content, but not on load of the page. Now, when I say I want to put some extra information, like people might not understood what actually this content is. Now, I will say that this is the description of a news item. This is what I want to add, so that when the user looks into this message, he will get some extra information. Okay, this is some description of a news item. Save this guy. For the first paragraph I have added, come back here, reload the page. Do you see the description? No, where it is? The description, whenever you add any extra information using the title tag, it will not show on load of the page. It will be shown once you put the mouse over on the particular tag. Okay, whenever you mouse over it, then only the tooltip will be automatically created. Then it is going to show you the extra information, because this is not a part of the news item. I'm just adding this so that user will get the extra information. Now, if you remove it, it will not be shown. If the user want to know something else, put a mouse over. Okay, this is a description of news item. He got some info, isn't it? So that is where we go with the title predefined attribute. Any questions? Okay, next, like this. What is the other attributes? SRC, I will talk about the SRC when I actually come to the image tag. How do you give the relative or absolute path of an external tag or external path? I'll talk about this. Classes and styles we'll talk about. So the first thing right now I'm going to talk is style attribute. Okay, so before talking about the style attribute, my simple requirement is this paragraph content, whatever is there, I want to change the background color of this. By default, any browser you go, any web page you go, by default the background color is a white, foreground color is black. This is the default every browser follows. You go for IE, go for Edge, Firefox, Mozilla, or Chrome, Opera, Safari, any browser you go, by default background is white, foreground is black color. What if I want to change the color? You tell me what technology I can go for. CSS. Remember, we already discussed HTML is only responsible. What this guy is doing, only showing the content on the page. Is it possible to change the look and feel using the HTML? No, boss. So we have a dedicated technology, something called as CSS. Can you tell me what is the other technology which I can go other than CSS? Come on, other than CSS, what technology I can go for? Come on, JavaScript. Come on, JavaScript is programming or just for look and feel changes? Okay, someone says that SAS, less CSS, you would have heard about less CSS and SAS CSS. Bootstrap, okay. Aren't those again CSS? I'm talking about a technology. I already said you guys, when you say HTML, CSS and JavaScript, no competitors. You cannot say that instead of CSS, I'll go with this. Not possible. Only CSS is capable of adding the look and feel changes on the web page. Okay, even though someone is saying a Bootstrap, Bootstrap is what? On the top of CSS. It's again CSS only. If there is no CSS, there is no Bootstrap. Someone saying SAS or less CSS. That is the minified way of writing the CSS. Even those guys are on the top of CSS. No CSS, those are no. Those all are frameworks on the top of your existing CSS. Obviously, those all are CSS only. So there is no other technology which can replace your CSS or which is capable of adding the look and feel changes on the web pages. Clear, everyone? Awesome. Now, the next part is, how do I change the look and feel? We have an attribute, something called as style attribute. Style is one of the predefined HTML attribute using which you can inject n number of CSS properties. Now, when I say earlier, I was talking about the attributes using ID attribute. How many IDs I can add for a single element? Using a name attribute, how many names I can add? Using a title, many? One, right? Name attribute, one value you can give. Using a title, how many titles I can inject to a single tag? One. So any number of attributes you go, every time you take a single value. But when I say look and feel change, do you always stick to single look and feel change? No, right? You may go with the background color, you may go with the foreground, you may apply back border, lot of things can be done. So that is where style is one of the special HTML attribute which is capable of taking multiple CSS properties. Okay, how you can give one CSS property, semicolon, another CSS property, semicolon, like this, put a semicolon as a separator, you can give one or many CSS properties. Okay, on the top, how you're going to give the CSS properties here? CSS property name, colon, what is its value? Okay, again, CSS property name, colon, what is its value? Like this, you can inject any number of CSS properties for a single tag using the style attribute. Example, I say something called as some paragraph tag. Okay, under this, assume you have some piece of content. Now I go with a style attribute. I say color is a CSS property name, colon, red is my value, semicolon. I say background hyphen color, I say green is my value. So the property is predefined, value is user defined. Property background hyphen color is predefined, value what you have is user defined. Okay, in the same way, I say something called as font hyphen size, say something called as 20 pixel. So like this, you can give any number of CSS properties for a single HTML element using a style attribute. Okay, one more thing, guys, I have already said you yesterday itself, when I am starting CSS doesn't mean that we are done with the HTML. HTML, not even 1% we have started. As I already said you, these two technologies are parallel technologies. It is not like you say that, no boss, first I finish HTML, then I go with CSS. Never possible. Okay, both has to be learned at a time. So initially we go with, but I can go with first HTML, CSS, later we can go with the JavaScript. Okay, that is not a parallel language, but these two are parallel. We'll take another 10 to 15 classes only for HTML, CSS. We'll get good experience with any type of static web page creation. Then we go with the dynamic with the JavaScript. Okay, yeah. So let us take these same properties and I would like to apply to this paragraph tag. The first paragraph tag, I'm putting something like this: style with color so and so, background color so and so, font size so and so. Now when you're saving this guy, come back to the page. Once I reload it, do I see that? I see a different look and feel with a background of green. Font size is varying. Font size, let me make it as font color yellow. Refresh. This is how it is. I'm having a different background color, different foreground color, and the font size also been changed. Is a content getting added or look and feel getting changed? Look and feel. Through what technology? CSS. This is what the advantage this is what you can do with the HTML. This is what you can do with your CSS. Any questions? Online students, explain detail of EM. Come on, guys, I haven't yet started. There is a concept, something called as measurements. There is something called as, whenever you're giving the percent sizes, right? You can give in pixels, you can give in EMs, you can give RMs, you can give percentages. Let me go one by one. I don't want to make you guys confused at the step one itself. Okay, hope I'm clear, Mohammed. Any more questions, guys? Is everyone so clear up to this, how we are adding the CSS? Okay, good. Now, the next step is, please explain predefined and user-defined attributes. Okay, so Sai Priya, I haven't discussed anything called as user-defined attributes, right? I only talked about predefined. So user-defined are, in future, we will say something called, assume like this is a paragraph tag. For this, you can put your own custom user-defined attribute also. Like I say that this news type, is user-defined or predefined? User-defined. I say news type equal to something called as crime news, like this. So you can even specify any type of attribute like this. Now, if you refresh, that doesn't get any change on the look and feel. What is the use of that guy? In future, being a developer, you might use this news type in order to identify what type of news it belongs to. Is it belongs to some political news, crime news, or public news, or private news? For that, you can simply make use. This name, you can put anything. I can say something called as some Prasad, XYZ, PQR, anything. Okay, this we call it as a user-defined attribute, not having any meaning. Browser will simply render it. Now, if you see, I said news type, is my browser is rendering it. See this guy? Where is that? See here, is getting rendered? Yes, it is not ignoring. It is not saying that I don't know that. I'm simply adding, but it is not behaving anything. Now, when I say style, it is executing that. When I say ID, browser know what actually it is. But when I say news type, browser doesn't know. But we can write a piece of JavaScript code saying that give me the list of all the news items which are having the news type as political or crime or something. For that purpose, we go with the user-defined attributes. Okay. Anyway, these things practically we see when I actually come to the JavaScript. Okay, so hope I'm clear with your questions, Sai Priya. Any more questions? Okay, good. So the next part is, yeah, Before going, yeah, first of all, let us talk something about the colors, guys. As I said, you like someone is asking measurements, I'm going to talk, guys. Pixels right now I'm using, but there are different measurements we have. Like what if we give percentages, EMs and RMs, what are those? We are going to discuss on that. Okay, for now I'm not talking, but let us talk something about colors. Whenever you are applying the colors, what are the different ways you can actually apply a color? Okay, I say my background color is something called as blue. Okay, so anytime you are applying the colors can be given in three different ways. Okay, the first thing is direct color name. Okay, directly specify what is the color name you want to apply, because now I can say that red, green, blue, pink, yellow, black, etc. and all. Can you guys agree? Do you guys agree that in the universe there are millions and trillions of colors? Yes, we have millions and trillions of color names we have. Is it is possible to name each and every color? Some colors you can go like 10, 20, something like that, but you cannot name each and every color. Then how do I specify the color name? That is the reason the second option what we have is RGB. Okay, there is a way of specifying the color by using the RGB. Do you guys agree? Every color in the universe can be obtained by mixing a bit of red, green and blue. Everyone? Yes, right? That is the reason when you are specifying the color, you can even give it through RGB. How you say? We say something called as RGB, which is going to take three values, integer values. First value specifies how much level of red, 20. Second value, how much level of green, some 33. How much level of blue, say something called as 100. Now, if you ask me a question, can I give 1000, 2000, 20,000 also? No. The minimum value what you can give for any value is 0. The maximum value is 255. Okay, you need to give the range of red or green or blue only between 0 to 255. Now, if you take this RGB, let us apply to this guy. Let us see how it is coming. For this heading, let me say, can I use style attribute again? Yes, I say some background hyphen color as so and so. RGB I'm using and with a semicolon. Now, if you come back and reload the page, do you see some different color has come? So that is what your level of 20% of red, 33% of G, green and 100th level of blue has been mixed and the output is coming for you. Okay, so that is where you can specify the color as RGB also. If you specify all zeros, which is equal to black color, all 255, 255, 255, you will get as a white color. Okay, in remaining, you have different colors. Now, if you ask me a question, boss, being a developer, do I need to remember the RGB value of each and every color? Not at all. You as a developer don't need to say some colors you might understand, but not, you don't need to know the value of each and every color. Then who is responsibility for giving the color names with RGB value? Designer. When you go into the organization, designer will give you the complete set of colors. Now, designer, remember we already discussed about the UX guy. What the UX guy is going to give? He's going to give you a mock-up showing you that how the look and feel has to be there. Yes, right? So at that time, the designer will even give you, this is the background color, this is the RGB value of it. So he will directly give you the RGB value. It is his responsibility. You don't need to bother. Am I clear? And there are some tools also available outside, either in your debugging tool. I'll show you that. Using your tools also, you can get the RGB value or hash code value of any of the color. Okay, so this is second one. Now, the third way what you can apply is you can apply something called as hash code. Whenever you're going to change the color, and when I'm saying this colors, guys, either it could be a background color, foreground color, border color, anywhere you apply the color, you can use all these three ways. Okay, in fact, there is even a fourth way from your CSS3, RGBA is also there. We'll talk about this. Now, what do you mean by this hash code? Hash code is very simple. It starts with hash operator. Maximum words it takes is 6 characters. I'll say underscore, underscore, 1, underscore, underscore, and underscore, underscore, and with a semicolon. How many characters? 6 characters. Now, before talking about the hash code, did anyone have an idea what do you mean by ASCII? Full form? American Standard Code for Information Interchange. Okay, why we have this ASCII values, guys? At the very starting of your computers, at the basics of computers, you would have heard boss system cannot understand the human being language. It can only understand the binary language or a machine language, assembly language, we call it as. And what do you mean by that? Whatever the codes or characters or numbers or symbols we give, it will convert into zeros and ones format. That is the reason every key which is in your keyboard background, it is being assigned with a ASCII values. Okay, like small a is going to have some 97 as a ASCII value, capital A 65, like this, symbols 0, 48, like this. Each and every key or number is having a ASCII value. Now what we say is, again we see when I'm saying that in the hash code we are giving 6 characters. First 2 characters belongs to red, second 2 characters belongs to green, a third 2 characters belongs to blue. Where if I say something called as C or CA 2AB3, this is what I have gave, guys. So what do you mean by this? It will take the CA, take the ASCII value of C, ASCII value of A, convert it. Again, the value should be between 0 to 255. 2A, it will take this 2 value. Again, the level of green it is. Okay. Take that ASCII value, find out that value. Again, B3. So this is again the different way of representing your RGB again. Now, if you take out this guy, let us apply to this guy. Earlier, I have given this. Now I apply the background color as so and so. Save this guy, come back. It is coming with a different color. Okay. So like this, either you can give the colors as a direct color or RGB value or hash code. Again, question. If you say that, boss, do I need to remember the hash code of each and every color? Not at all. Designer is responsible for giving you the hash code values. Okay. And again, whenever I say 0, 0, 0, which is equal to white color. Okay. Sorry, this is black color. When I give F, that is going to be white color. The maximum values what you can give for a hash code is 6, because 2 characters belongs to all 3 colors. Minimum values what you can give is 3. Okay, if you say 3 values, in the sense when you have all the 6 characters are same, I have all the 6 as 0 zeros, you simply give 3, shortcut. Okay, but you cannot say 1, 2, 3, 4, or else A, B, 2. It is not possible. Okay, that is an error. For sure, either you should have 3 characters or 6 characters. If all are same, give only 3. All are not same, then you give the 6 characters. Okay, and again, you don't need to bother about the hash code. Designer will help you giving you the hash code of this. Okay, example again, let me show you. Okay, let me open the Firefox. Where is my Firefox? Not there. Firefox is not there. How come? Let me show you how do I take a color picker, and I will show you this guy. Okay, so if I open this guy in the Firefox, so even in Chrome also we have that color picker, but for that you need to install a plugin for that. By default, it's not coming. But when I open this guy, there is an option of debugging tool. Under this, there is something called as a color picker. Okay, if you see here, when I click on this color picker, take out any of the color. See here, wherever I'm mouse hovering, is my hash code has been shown automatically. See, when I'm hovering on here, see if I want yellow, see this is what the hash code is. If I go onto this green or so and so, this is what the hash code is. When I mouse over on this guy, this is what. Now when I click on this guy, now once you paste this guy, you will get the hash code. You can start making use of it. Now I go for something called as Amazon. Okay, you go to a different web pages. You see some of the color. Boss, this orange symbol is looking very good. I want to have the same look and feel in my web page also. So how do you go for that? So you can simply go here, because I cannot simply say orange, that it could be something else. Now I go for this color picker, go to this guy, click on this guy. This is what my hash code. You can make use of that color in any of the web page. Okay. One thing you need to make sure, you as a developer don't need to by heart the list of all the RGB values or the hash codes. Designer will give you, boss, this is what the look and feel. This is the background. This is the hash code, or this is the RGB value. They just give you, you make use of it. Okay. Any questions on these three? Okay, so the fourth way what we have is, this is again a CSS3 part, guys. When I will talk about this when I actually come to the CSS3. Only thing is, A indicates a transparency level. Whenever you are adding a color, you can even specify the transparency. Example, we say something called as RGBA 20, 34, 56, 0.4. So this is red, this is green, this is blue. 0.5 indicates the transparency level. So for this, first of all, you need to understand something called as opacity property. That is the reason I'm pausing this, because now I can't talk about the opacity. If I have to talk about the opacity, I need to talk about the positioning values. When elements getting overriding each other, you have to add the transparency so that I can see the background one also. That is where you go with the opacity. So I'm just parking this guy. I'll talk about RGBA later. But hope you are clear with all the three different ways of adding the colors, working with colors. Everyone, online students, hash code not clear? Okay, let me tell you. First of all, in order to get clear about the hash code, first of all, are you clear with ASCII? Jagannath, hope you are clear with the hash code. Guys, please repeat it fast, guys. I'm waiting. Bhavna, you're clear with ASCII? Okay, you know that, right? What do you mean by ASCII? For every character, they are going to assign a unique value. Now, when I say I give something called as ABC 2, 1, how many characters? 2, 3, 4, something called as A, like this I got. Now, what they will do? They will take the hash code of, you know, internally what it will be? It will be hash code of AB is 65 and 66. They will combine these two. They form a value. The output value will be again between the 0 to 255. Now, when I'm coming over here, when you see, I have taken this hash code, right? This is what the hash code I got when I'm identifying one of the color, hash FEBD69. So what they will do? They will take the hash code of F. They will take the hash code of E. Combine this, you will get a value between 0 to 255. Assume it is some 47. Assume. Now 47th of FB. So this will be divided something like this. BD is 1, 69 is 1, and this guy FE will be something like this. BD, assume B, capital B is 98, 99, 100 is for capital D. Somehow assume like the output is something called as 129. Okay, now 69, they are going to take the output directly. The value is 69. Now what do you mean by this hash FEBD69? Okay, assume I'm giving like this. Now when I say hash FEBD69, the internal output is RGB of 47, 129, 69. As simple as it is. Again, internally it is RGB. Are you guys clear? What is hash code? Are you guys clear now? Who asked this? Bhavna? Okay, next, Srinath. Sir, is any performance difference between these different ways of using a color? That's a good question. It is recommended to go with the RGB, guys. Now you tell me, is RGB is more higher performance or hash code is higher performance? Hash code or RGB? RGB, right? Again, anyway, if I give the hash code, again, that is converting back into the RGB only. So why unnecessarily taking that step? So that is the reason RGB is most recommended. But when you're using as a developer, you see here these many instructions just to put a single color. Here it is taking 7 characters. Here it is taking some 10 to 15 characters. So size wise, hash code is preferred, but applying internally performance wise, it is recommended to go with the RGB. Okay, because when you use 100 times, you're using the color. 100 into 15, you're using those many characters. But if it is hash code, 100 into 7, 700 characters, that's it. Okay, so the size will increase, the file size will increase when you go with the RGB values, but when you go with the hash code, file size will be decreased. Hope everyone, okay. Can we use 10.2 like point values? No, Mohan, it has to be used only the values directly. There is never a case we go with the decimal values for the RGBs. But every color code or name got converted into hash code. No, right? Output finally we are going to get RGB, right? It is not the hash code. Anyway, this 47 again will convert into number. But if you see FBED, this guy has to convert into a number. That number will be converted into binary number. That is what it has to be used. Now, if I use this RGB, this step we are skipping it, right? Am I clear, Rahul, with your question? Yes. Okay, nice. So hope everybody is clear with the colors. And again, I said you guys, not only for the background, foreground, etc. Anywhere you use the color, border color, background color, foreground color, you can simply make use of these guys. Okay. Now, another thing what we see here is, this is how my look and feel is coming. This is how my paragraph tag is looking like. This is how my heading tag is looking like. Do you guys agree that in my page, every content, every heading should have the same type of look and feel? Yes, right? When I say news item, every guy has to get the same look and feel. Okay, now how do I do that? Can I have this? Okay, let me put some another look and feel. I want to put some underline also for this, guys. Okay, I want to put, when it is a heading, subheading, I want to put an underline. When you want to put an underline, two ways you have. One is there is a predefined tag, something called as U tag. Okay, if you come back here, reload the page, do you see an underline? So anything news item has got the underline? Yes. Why so? Any piece of content which is between U open and U closing tag automatically will get a underline. Clear? Okay. Next, the other way what you can do is, you can even do that underline using the CSS also. How do we do that? We have an option, something called as text hyphen decoration. Okay, you specify it as underline. Okay, there is underline, outline. You can even strike the text also. You would have seen in some of the pages, like actual price 2000. It was taken off after discount. It is so and so. So those type of things can be done with this. I'll show you. Okay, now if you refresh, this is how I'm getting an underline. Now what is my requirement is, I want the same type of look and feel for all my titles. Now can I copy this style tag? Can I add to same all H3 tags? Yes or no? Yes, I can go with all the H3 tags having the same type of look and feel. Refresh, that is good. Can I have the same type of look and feel for all the paragraph tags also? Yes, what I need to do I need to copy the same CSS properties here? The style property I will copy. I will add it to every other paragraph tag. Save this guy. Come back here and reload the page. This is how it is. Now I have all the paragraph tag having the same type of look and feel, all the heading tags having the same type of look and feel. Now my question is, clearly look into the piece of code, do you see something is not looking good, something not happening good? What is that? Repeatancy. Do you see the duplication of the CSS properties here? Boss, right now you have 4 to 5 news items. Okay, you can copy and paste it. What if you have some 1,000 news item? Unnecessarily duplication of the code and repeatancy of the CSS properties is happening. Point number one. The second point what you have is maintenance is not so easy. Why so? My manager, assume this is what the page I have created. My manager said that, boss, this yellow foreground is not looking good. Can you please change it to something else? What I need to do? Do I need to go to each and every news item and do the changes? So maintenance is not so easy. The concept of applying the CSS using the style attribute, we call it as inline CSS. So anyone is saying that inline CSS. What do you mean by inline CSS? Inline CSS means applying the CSS directly using the style attribute. We call it as a inline CSS. In fact, inline CSS is never ever recommended. Why the reason? We see the issue, right? The first thing is redundancy and duplication of the code. When we use inline, unnecessarily we have to repeat it. Okay, multiple times it is getting repeated. And the second problem what we have is duplication, and along with this, maintenance is not so easy for us. Okay, so it is not so easy that if at all you want to do the changes, multiple places you need to do the change. That is where we don't go with the inline CSS. The next topic what we have is CSS classes. This I'm going to talk tomorrow. Okay, so for today, everybody do some enough practice on the inline CSS, practice on the heading tags and paragraph tag, do some enough practice on whatever the topics we have discussed. So get ready with this. Tomorrow we are going to start with the CSS classes. And do remind me, guys, first of all, I need to talk something about the DOM elements, then I will go with the CSS classes. So do remind me tomorrow. Okay, so one more thing, guys, I hope everybody who got registered, I've already given the GitHub access, but yesterday some of you pinged me and said that you got registered but not yet added. Someone is saying that Ramesh is not responding, but one thing, guys, he's not just handling our batch, he's almost like more than 2,000 people he is handling. So assume like 2,000 messages coming in the WhatsApp, he need to reply everyone. So assume that is what his case. So be patient, message him. If he is not responding, just give some time and again ping back. Okay, only do the WhatsApp to him. He will for sure add you guys. Okay, but make sure whoever got registered, get for sure added to the Telegram so that I can give you the GitHub access. Okay, have a good day. Bye for today.